Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. That's too loud. Oh, no, I think we're in the right spot. All right, cool. Hey guys, this morning, let's grab the stream links. One. Hovering on a reversal. Yeah, Bitcoin is like... We'll talk about Bitcoin. Okay, so if I bring my chart over here, let's first talk about the important stuff. All right, E-mini had a little bit. It's so on Friday we had a move up, okay, but the E-mini did not necessarily follow. They're actually up on the day, and now they're up higher, and now we're pushing lower. We may actually push through some of this like 30 area. I don't know, but it looks good to go down for now. ES is still like it's just like right there on resistance, so you're gonna have to watch this. It is a Monday, so we gotta be careful and very selective and intentional, right? Bitcoin, I mean, you can see it on the chart down here, but this chart just doesn't really show it justice because the way that it went was like over the weekend. Let's pull it up on Crypto Watch. Crypto Watch, Coinbase, Pro, BTC USD. Here we go. Okay, so you can see on a 6-hour chart. Okay, we've kind of been, here was the big fall, kind of balancing out, pushing higher, huge reversal. So yeah, pretty ugly. It was about as ugly as it gets, guys. Like, geez, they caught them and they're just cutting them down. And my indicator says one was like on the verge of 150. I think we're getting into the 140 level. So they're ripe. They are ripe for selling, we'll say. Okay. So we do get some stuff this week, don't we? We've got the Federal Reserve Chairman will testify tomorrow, Wednesday, with Canadian CPI data, goods trades balance, advanced GDP quarter over quarter on Thursday, and on Friday, what do we got? ISM. Yep, we got ISM and U of M consumer sentiment and inflation. So it may be a little bit less volatile of a week again, but big caveat on that is that the S&P 500 is approaching critical levels. Well, already for just the 5-10 minutes that we've been watching here, things seem pretty slow. I think this is one of those days where we might have to be careful because I'd expect it to be really slow. But at some point, we're probably going to see something that will make us excited. At some point, we'll probably see something that will make us excited. And there's going to be like that temptation to try and FOMO into it. And that's when we could either see a trend day or the really, really nasty day where it keeps making you think that it's going to do something and it cuts you down every time. You know what I'm talking about? So, okay. So there exactly is kind of the sort of thing that I'm talking about. That 6K bid on the uptick. I don't think so. That's not. No way. We're sitting here, it's really slow. You're gonna have a 6K bid on the uptick. Like they sold it. This is gonna be. See that just that right there is like, yep, Seth, we're listening, and that is exactly what we're planning on doing today. Every time you think you're safe, any time that you think that something, you're gonna get a good one, and we're just gonna come in, and we're just gonna flip it on you. Aren't you glad you didn't take that? Aren't you glad? Because honestly, that was pretty shitty. That was a nasty, nasty trick they played. Okay, they're ticking back up. Interesting. There's not a big 6K bid there this time, but there is 2,000. Could do. Could do. Maybe there's really a reason to buy it. See, this is exactly where there's a problem. I don't know if this is a trick or if I need to be buying this. I don't see any reason to do it. And see, from everything that I can see, there shouldn't be any reason to do it. And I know that I'm not going to be as informed as whoever's putting that 6K bid there. So it's probably better that I just stay out and watch and see what happens. Even if it goes like, big time up. Even if it goes big time up. Jigsaw webinar. Jigsaw Trading 7 Most Effective Trading Setups on the 27th of February at 12 p.m. Central Time. Hosted by the MDA Advisory at Daniels Trading In this all-new webinar, we'll be looking at our 7 most effective trading setups. As, of course, with all our webinars, there's a twist. We go through the various setups you'll see. They're really made up of building blocks or components that repeat across the different setups. Some components for confirmation, some for setup, some for spotting failure. The setups themselves aren't as important as the components and the process of deciding which components you'll look for on any one trade. Cool. And then one about the verbal journal. So to sign up, click here if you're on Jigsaw Trading. Bum bum bum. Okay. Oh, I'm not getting my my sounds. Why am I not getting my sounds? Sounds like the East is getting this wind that I had last week. Chicago Fed National Activity Index negative 1.43 versus a spot 1.5 expected. Warren Buffett's burning distaste for quarterly earnings reports. I think it'd be really interesting to see what would happen if they got rid of quarterly earnings reports. Okay, so it's bid at 30.5 again, and it's not doing anything. It's been here for a while. It's just sitting here. Got a few in. Yeah, this is gonna be one of them sessions, isn't it? Isn't it? Interestingly enough, I'm not really seeing any political announcements today. Like, this would be a perfect time for people to, like, run for president and that sort of a thing. Nothing really happening. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? This picture. Just look at this picture. Look at this picture. That is like, it's if I was the UK, like, so I'm sorry, like, here's my bias showing up, but if I was the UK, this picture would piss me off so bad. Like Europe is this kind mother. The European Union is this kind mother. Like, no, that would piss me off. Okay, so they did go bid at 31 for a moment, at least, and they're kicking it back down. Ooh, okay, so that's actually giving me enough of buy-in to potentially take it, actually. So the thing is that 31.5 was the open. So you can see a lot of resistance there. Okay. Blaine, I don't know who that is. Markets now perceive a clear pattern to Trump's approach to trade negotiations. Yeah, welcome to 2 years ago. I just sound like a bitter old man today, don't I? Is it gonna go? So I'm questioning if you'd be able to get filled on the bid at 31 now. And I think that's where I would want to be trying to get filled. That 30-year in particular is really moving up. That's interesting. Are they going to flatten here? Could do. And the spreads could do something really interesting here. There's been some like steepening attempts, and then they don't go. The E-mini is showing a little bit of weakness. Okay, so there's an uptick. You got 2,000 on the bid. I think he could take it. Well, like this right here. I don't think that's gonna fill. And I'm not so sure that evens is a safe price to hit into. Okay. Hmm. Ah, interesting. Tick back up. That tick back up was actually kind of random because the 5-year did not go along with it. There was no change in the 5-year whatsoever when that happened. And down tick again. And now there's quite a bit. After that down tick, there's now quite a bit at 122 even. I'm gonna need to start highlighting things. Seth, if you say okay every time it's funny, then you know that you do not know what's going on. I don't know what's going on right now for sure, right? Well, I do know one thing, right? I do know that this kind of upward pressure is a little fishy. And the market seems to agree with me a little bit because sometimes pressure like that could move you at least 4 ticks, and they can't even get one out of it. No, they can't even get two out of it because really you would have taken the trade at 31, right? But you're right. When I say okay, it's kind of like all right. That was also something kind of weird, and I'm still not sure what it is. Hmm. Ah, now they tick it down. Tick it down at 31 holds, but they were able to make 31 go offer. That is very curious as well. Hmm. I'm not sure if they're sure. The 5 years definitely selling through, but that's only like 2,000 cumulative delta to do that, so probably reading too much into that. I always shave on Sunday, and I think I did a poor job because I keep getting like these hairs that are like kind of had gotten cut just a little bit, and I can feel them. They're like bent. What is Nassim going on about? Note distribution takes only even values for odd steps and vice versa. Random walk. Psychologists have no idea what they are talking about when they discuss time preferences. Their biases come from not getting the math. Hmm. 30 half offer now. Back to lows. Morning, Ace. You're a little early, aren't you? Okay, so it goes bid there at 30 half, and it's a strong bid again. So I'm gonna try this. Seems to me like, oh, there's Uzi. Good morning. It kind of seems to me like somebody made a buy move and then let it off essentially, and so that whole thing may have just been kind of like shenanigans to get filled short up higher or something of that nature. And then you got this big old order dumped on it at evens for the 7,300 that's sitting there at evens. Then we came back down and they started pushing the other side of it, and the same signal that initially moved us up shows up, which is the strong bid shows up. You're at 30 half. They uptick and there's immediately 5K on it, which is very unusual. Ace Trades says he is looking short on the E-mini. And Swisso thinks business spot is 31 half for short. Why do you think 31 half? Well, other than that it's like the point of control in this area, I guess. I wonder if you've got two sides here and one wants to buy at 30 half and 31 and one wants to sell at 31 half and evens. Now, you see that? Now there is another big, big offer at 31 half. Oh, that's super interesting. 2806.75. I don't know. So they kind of uptick there for a second in the 5 year, and nothing happened. They came back down. A little bit of selling at 30 half, but they're not like straight up pulling. President Trump says this isn't his Twitter, but LiveSquawk is reporting that he is getting very close to a deal with China. We'll have a signing summit with China on trade. He's saying that they'll have a signing summit. Perhaps the market is acting this way because somebody is expecting news. When we've seen trade news, we've seen trades like this before, haven't we? So somehow the market makers, the big banks get this information and they make very insistent trades, often in the face of, what else is happening. But then what would be the reason for people to buy at pre-market were repeatedly formed lower balance. Well, the action overnight was definitely lower. There was a little bit of balance at like 31, and there was a little bit of balance at 31 half at one point. $31 though was 31 half was the point of control at one point, right? And now it's 31. Okay, so we're seeing some big bubbles in the E-mini now. I think 121, 290, the market is turned on long and the high 122.040 adjusted. I'm not sure what you mean by that second part. 121.29. So it kind of sounds to me like you're thinking that we might have like a break of the lows, reversal, and push higher, yeah? I think for scalping either way, we got to be a little cautious because we're seeing signs of interest, right? Like if we tick up and there's immediately 5K on the bid, somebody's interested. Normally, that means that they want to buy it. Okay, now that 30 half is stacking to 8K. Let's see if we actually get filled, but I think we should be able to get filled just because there's so much size up there. And we can keep our stop really tight here too. Anyways, it's a sign of interest. Normally it would be a sign that they want to continue to buy, but sometimes they'll stack the bid up in an attempt to get filled in some form or another, right? So that's why I only want to say I can only be sure that it's like interest. So there's interest there, and then there's big stacking on two prices. Those ones didn't happen like immediately on the downtick, but they did stack up. Wait for a reverse at 29 and then test the high. That would be really interesting. Warren Buffett, Bitcoin is a delusion. Anyways, oh yeah, I wonder if Bitcoin's going to react to that. Probably not. So there's unusual interest on both sides. But then we look back at the context. It's towards the end of the month. There's not a lot of interest in speculating it towards the end of the month. We're at towards the end of the contract. In fact, we'll be rolling over here this week, aren't we? Or is it next week? Yeah, we're rolling over this week because it's February. Okay, so that right there, they hit into 30.5 and the 8K is not there. Anyways, it's like it's a rollover week. And then there's no real news on the calendar, but there is this trade deal stuff. So it's unusual to see that kind of interest on a day like today. But that could be an indication that people are expecting more trade deal news. They're saying that they're going to have a signing summit. That kind of seems to me like that would mean that a trade deal is going to happen, right? But the market's certainly not reacting the way that I would expect it to if that's what was happening. Although I'd have to be a little cautious with that statement too, because the Treasuries have kind of acted a little bizarre around trade news, haven't they? Well, they did go offer at 31, but it's still kind of like really iffy and slow. Okay, so there's some FOMO buying in the 5-year. Look at them trickling into 17.5. Oh, super interesting. Ooh, they're really trickling into. Wow. Okay, but somebody is doubling down on that price now at 17.5 because it just stacked from like 1900 to 2500, and the bid didn't change. Hearing noise from my cell phone through the headphones again. Okay, so there was a flip in the 10-year. Key events in this extremely busy week: Powell, Trump, Kim, Cohen, Mueller, May. Well, except for that, okay, so that's another interesting thing is that they were saying that they were going to end the Mueller probe this week, but then there was another report saying that they weren't going to end the Mueller probe this week. So I suspect probably we're not going to see anything this week. Okay, there's an uptick. There wasn't as quite as strong of a bid, but it is 1500 and it's stacking to 2. FX macro. I think we need to be a little worried that the China has gotten Trump to overcommit with just promises. Trump will have to capitulate anyways, but could be messy. He has a good point. Well, I mean, that's kind of feels like what's been happening with the whole Kim thing, right? Is that they kind of are leveraging the fact that he really wants a deal, for political reasons, to try and, I don't know, sneak something in there or something. Okay, so they're holding a pretty healthy, let's call it a healthy bid at 31. This will be our new word, healthy. Healthy. It's a healthy bid at 31. Pretty strong offer there. And you're getting, so there was 8K at 17 half. Hmm. Okay. So downtick there. They're actually hitting into 17 half. There are a lot of contracts and it held. They also sold all 3,000 that were bid at 31. I like the idea in bonds to see gap closes. Yeah, like a move back up to 040. There is a case for it to go short too, though. I mean, it seems like somebody out there thinks that it's going to happen. We have at least one guy in our chat room. We got Swisso thinks that we might move down first. Okay, so they're building up a healthy bid at 31 again. And Rad Arnett is long 31 as well. He's done very well in the past. I haven't heard from him in a while. This gonna be interesting. Well, it's going to take a lot of contracts to push through that 31 half and evens, if that's what we're going to do. It feels like I've been in this for an eternity, but it's only been 10 minutes. Also, by the way, I am seeing like, based on uptick, downtick, I'm seeing pretty significant deltas on the downtick. Here, I'll just show you. Been watching, I have a couple of different ways of showing it. Here's like total with the commitment of traders, and here is the with the tick. And so you can see here that with the tick, there's actually pretty outsized ones down here. And when that happens, like where would be a good example of that happening? I don't have one. I don't have one from recent history. But sometimes when that happens, and it never moves down, that indicates a significant failure. And we have a quick move up. Although probability is probably maybe I think just based on those deltas alone, probability is probably down. But then we've had such strong buying through here, especially in the 5-year. Like, notice the 5-year is already hitting into 18. And they've still got pretty healthy bids here, too. And, excuse me, you got this. You got this going. Okay. Interesting. Ace, so I think Ace is going to go short again at 2807.75. So it's also curious. Now that's a really healthy bid at 31.5. And the 5-year is like not stopping. Extremely busy week. No. I mean, in terms of economic numbers, it's a very light week. But I guess in terms of political news, there could be. So it's a strong. It's not quite as strong of an offer as it was originally. Like there was 8K there at one point, right? And now it's 5K. So that's actually a significant amount of pulling at evens. And especially with the way that 5-year is looking. They try and push us up another tick. And the 30-year's got plenty. I mean, the 30-year technically had a higher kind of a little zigzaggy thing. Like they were higher here at 03. This right here. Interesting. This thing right here. See, they haven't made a higher high yet. Maybe they're not gonna. I'd say that's a healthy bid, and I think that my read in that spot was correct, but this could still fail on us really quickly, so got to stay on my toes. There we go. But are they perhaps signaling a little drop in the S&P 500? Or are they going to be uncorrelated again today? Collusion conspiracy theory shift vows to subpoena Mueller if that was an old story from earlier in the week. Okay. So they did get it to down tick at 31.5. I'm actually seeing more people deciding long. And this seems, it still feels like a tough call to me because that was a strong move up in the 5 year. I think we read that right, but you know, can the 5 year really move a whole lot more? Well, there's an uptick. I think that they upticked that there in the 10 year because the 5 year. Because look, they're upticking and downticking at the same time. There's a little bit more this time it evens as well. It's 67 now instead of 5. My chart over here in the 30 year is jacked up again. The cumulative delta always gets screwed up. President Trump will delay tariff increases on China and plans to meet with President Xi. I'm starting to see a lot more news come through on the wire. Oh, by the way, I have my weekly Democrat primary analysis out. You should be able to check that video out now. I should go tweet that. Still acting like slow. Now my 5 years is jacked up. Blah 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 blah. Just gonna go put this on the Reddits. Downtick again. 2,500 that time. Continues to be relatively weak offers when they trade down at 31.5 there, though. Although they're not trading it back up in the 5 year. That's curious. Okay, there the 30 year ticked up. Now they're right there at the top again in the 5. Hmm. So that's a little stronger of an offer. Okay, now that 31 is getting a little pulling a little bit, and the 30 year is pushing down again, but the 5 is not. So I think that the 10 year is getting pulled here in a spread trade. The E-minis keeps pushing up. We're not getting that short, are we, Ace? Did you manage to sell 31.5 in the 10 year and O2 in the 30 year the first time it got there? No. Ace, I'm guessing, got out of that a long time ago. Yeah, it says he says out. Yeah, I bought 31. Um, I've been sitting in this now for about 23 minutes, and it's getting close to the equities open. So, oh, you know what? That would have been really bad if it's something that actually happened. Too close to the open to get back in. Gotcha. I wanted to take the trade, but I was kind of hesitant and let it go. I don't think that was a bad choice, Lucas, because we're kind of seeing like strong signs of interest on both sides and it not really going either way. So I don't know if that means that they're just pulling tricks to get fills and stuff, or if they think that something's going to happen and it just hasn't hit the wires yet, or what. Digital Shot says he's trying to scratch it now. Oh, did I not click this? I want to take the 1. I'm going to hit the bid if the limits switch. Okay, so an odd shuffling around in the level 2 as the 30 year hits into 17 and 3/4. The 17 and 3/4 is holding it though. There's an iceberg there. Okay, it did tick down. Nobody put a bid or offer at 17 and 3/4 there. I mean, the first time it got there after the open, you're right though, it's trickier now. Right. Well, when they were ticking into evens, I think I should have gotten out there. Of course, the issue now is that if I do get filled on this, there's a good chance that they just go right through me, you know. But it's been too long. I've been in the trade too long. Good deal. It's very rare that I hold on to a long for over 30 minutes and never, and only get one tick out of it. So if that happens, I want to be out, especially this close to the mini opening. Trump says maybe he will get a China deal. Chris King, I liked the donkey race video. Any politically driven trading ideas? Probably too early for the Democrat race to move markets, though a lot of market attention on China trade talks, it seems. Thoughts? Okay, yeah, so anytime that trade talks are kind of on people's minds, I've seen odd behavior. There's been a lot of times where like a big announcement will come out, like China says something mean, for instance, and it'll be like I'll see the market bid all morning and like it just never quite goes, but there seems to be some sort of strong demand for it for whatever reason, and I'm telling you, somebody knows. That I don't know how they know. It might not necessarily be something that would be like insider trading, because there's lots of things that they can do to kind of figure out what's going on, that guys on the trading floor and banks, they might have enough connections to kind of put the pieces together themselves and it not be insider trading, but very often I've seen really odd trades like that. And we've often speculated here that maybe the Chinese know, and the Chinese are, using their sovereign fund to mess with things. So yeah, always a lot of odd behavior around trade deals. I think even today it's kind of interesting because I've gotten a couple of headlines here. Like right now, this 4 minutes ago, Forex Live, Trump says maybe he will get a China deal. Maybe. And the market didn't really react to it at all. AOC just introduced a bill to make the electoral college tuition free. I keep meaning to make a video about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Because I was waiting for her to release her Green New Deal, and then say try and look at it from an investment perspective. But then by the time it happened, it was like everybody was already making fun of it and hitting it, and like the whole idea of like how good of an investment is investing in green energy didn't seem like super important. So I was kind of like, maybe I'll just wait. But I need to make a video about that. I feel like there's so we can get into what I was planning on talking about today if you want. If I was foolish, I would go long 2808. Yeah, I think I need to sit on my. That's kind of why I'm like trying to talk to you guys a little bit more, because I really want to go long right now. Like I'm feeling super FOMO that we ticked back up at evens and it's thick, but I did what I was supposed to do. So if it continues on, oh well. But anyways, my thought for today is because when I read r/politics on Reddit again this morning, there's a lot of talk about taxes. And I think maybe it's because Warren Buffett was saying that the rich don't get taxed as much as middle class people because of capital gains taxes, which is true. But there's a reason that the capital gains tax is so low, right? It helps markets. Everybody benefits from capital gains tax being low, all right? But the thing that irks me about it is like they say tax the rich or even like eat the rich. And the thing is that taxing the rich isn't going to make you rich, right? Dragging down other people does not elevate yourself. In fact, more often than not, you just all get dragged down, like lobsters in a stew pot, Dragging the other lobsters back into the stew pot doesn't help them get out, right? This whole thing with the taxes, I think, just seems kind of silly because, honestly, okay, so we tax the rich and we increase social services. Like maybe you get healthcare. Okay, that's great. But isn't like good health care, which, if you work a job, it's there. And so let's say that the money that you are paying into healthcare now goes into taxes. Okay. So let's just assume for a moment, although I don't doubt that this would be the case, but let's just assume for the moment that your total income is even at the end of all of that. All right. You're not rich, right? Isn't having good healthcare just kind of like a bare minimum sort of a thing? You know? Like I don't want to just I don't want just the bare minimum. I mean, that's not what people want, right? Don't people want to be able to have a nicer home to accommodate their family and more money so that they can put it into their hobbies or developing their children's hobbies or sending their children to a nicer school? Maybe have more money so that you can afford to take more time off to spend with your family. Like these are the sorts of things that I think people really want. Is taxing the rich isn't going to give that to you guys. It's not. Taxing the rich doesn't do that. So why is it you understand that they're saying we'll tax the rich and then we'll give you breadcrumbs? Like, why would anybody go along with that? The whole thing just seems crazy to me. If you want these things, you're not going to get it from taxing the rich. You're going to get it by helping everybody. And that means everybody, not just the rich, but the rich, the poor, people at every income level. Here's the open, by the way. The first impulse is long. But helping people at every income level develop their talents and find value in the marketplace. That's the way that you're all going to get what you want. You know what I mean? Uzi says it's an easy pitch to young voters. I think so. I think that there's a lot of people in this country that don't really understand what they want. And I think that there's a lot of people, because I just think about my own financial journey, like coming out of the 2008 crisis. I think there's a lot of young people that kind of, they lost some time from that crisis, right? Like our income hasn't grown as fast as it should be because everybody's income was down from the financial crisis. And those sorts of things aren't on their mind because they don't really know that it's like possible for them to have those things. Not only that it's possible for them to have those things, but that the normal thing in this country is to have those things, and that the way that you do that is you find value in the marketplace. They don't have that experience of participating in the economy and having success. And so they think that the only thing that there's no way they can have success. And so the only thing that they can do is get the breadcrumbs from the rich people, But when you look at it from that perspective, it's kind of easy to understand why so many people on the left are like going into full-blown communism, because the kind of the half-baked socialism that they're pushing, which is like tax the rich and we'll give you the breadcrumbs, isn't really all that appealing, is it? One of the Democrats' weaknesses going into 2020 is being beholden to Twitter mobs. Twatter mobs. The emphasis put on what people say on Twitter is unwarranted. Yes. I totally agree. Well, I think that we give the algorithms too much power. This whole thing with YouTube this past week where they were like, the advertisers were leaving because there was like a pedophile ring on YouTube. That's the algorithm going crazy. We've given the algorithm too much power. We give the Twitter algorithm too much power. There's these people. They literally sit on their bed all day with their phone in their hand and a desktop notification sound. And they wait for the notification sound for when Donald Trump has tweeted. And then they tweet a response as quickly as possible so that they can be one of the first replies on his tweet and get all of the Twitter traffic from that. Can you freaking believe that? Like, that's totally crazy. It's also directionless. There is no unity in Twitter mobs. Yeah. Well, Twitter is kind of the most random of the platforms, right? You can find just about any kind of crazy opinion that you want on a particular subject in Twitter. But there is still some content that gets promoted above other content, determined mostly by an algorithm. And I'm just saying, we've given that algorithm too much power. I think that it was better when the algorithm was kind of guided us, but you were still shown a lot of random things. You know, when they optimized everything to make the algorithm show us exactly the thing, and only the thing that we really wanted to see. I'm sure they probably do get clicks from it, but I just don't think that it's best for society or for people's emotional states and their development and the political, what's the word? Yeah. My mind went blank there, but you get what I mean. The landscape, the political landscape, I guess you could say. It's not a good thing for the political landscape. That 8.5 order at 005 might be there. Yeah, so remember that we had a big order at these two prices. It was at 31.5 and it was at evens. And now that we've finally traded through evens, now there's a big one at 05. And I would say that those big orders at 31.5 did not pull. Granted, they didn't just plow into it, so it's hard to say that maybe they would have pulled if there was more buying. But it kind of felt like that to get up to here, that they really had to be coaxed into it, doesn't it? So I'm still not sure enough to want to take a trade, and especially since the E-mini still appears to be looking fairly strong, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Conservatives at this point are all too familiar with being algorithmically deprioritized. Democrats don't face the same stuff, like watching the mainstream media support every Democratic candidate in 2020 should be a laugh riot because they ain't getting any conservative a fair shake. Yeah, so you see, one of the things I talk about in my weekly analysis is that they were hitting on Bernie this week. I pointed out last night on Facebook, my conservative friends, when they post political stuff, 0 comments of no support, no detractors, right? I mean, when I post conservative stuff, I actually do tend to get a lot of support. Not nearly as much as some of the Democrats out there, though, Like if I got 24 likes on a Facebook post, that would be a ton. My friends' comment sections are bloated with support and the occasional conservative being morally preached into the dust by hordes of progressives. Yeah. Well, the progressives definitely have a stranglehold on social media of sorts. Because it was created by liberals in California. Look at that, 7K into zeros. And still an 8 stacking at 005. So that, my read there on that is that they might go through, but there's definitely people wanting to sell it. Ooh, look at that. I might actually want to sell that. Yeah. Okay. How can my conservative friends have 0 allies and 0 detractors on political posts? Ooh, man, is this worse? They're holding a healthy bid there. Maybe I'm going to be wrong here on this one. So I think that conservative people are less likely to use social media in general. And maybe it's because they're tired of being beaten down. But, people in social media, they tend to live, in small communities. I don't think that when you're in a city, there's lots of people around you, but it can actually be really lonely because in the city you don't really talk to your neighbors, and you probably don't even want anything to do with your neighbors, right? But when you're out in the country, like, you know everybody. Like, you could live in a town of 10,000 people, and you know a lot of the people in there, or a town of 1,000 people and know almost everybody, right? The need, the desire for the social media at that point is not as strong. And so I don't think that the conservatives seek it out as much. And conservative people are more likely to have a family. So one of the things that I've noticed is that when you get married and you have kids, your social media use goes down. If you're One of the things that I always watch for is, like, that girl, you've had her on your feed since high school or whatever it is, and she's been really quiet, and then all of a sudden one week she starts posting a lot. I guarantee you, she might not say it, but she just got dumped. Guarantee it. Every time. Okay, look, they're going weak at 31.5. Just for a moment. That E-mini is looking strong. But maybe they're trying to flip it around. Look at all that selling there, and they're still up at the high end of the range. This is a very, yeah, I want to know how Ace react to that thing right there. When you get a volume like that, does that change your opinion on things, or do you just kind of still stick to whatever your strategy is? And they did push a little higher. Jeez. Well, his original trade that was like 27.08, I think would still be okay right now. Hmm. Do you ever trade futures options? I just bought an ES vertical put spread since I waiting for China trade hype to pop, or is 2,800 the new normal? Oh, that's a good question. So I've messed with options a little bit. Not options on futures, but I've messed with options a little bit. But I've never actually bought options. I've only done those on sim. And but for me, like, options is kind of more a statistical thing. Like, I'll sit down and I'll say, okay, market seems to think that X isn't going to happen, and I think that there's a very high probability that X is going to happen. And then I go and I do the math and I say, okay, if I'm right, how much would I make? And if I'm wrong, how much would I make? And there has to be a certain amount of profit in it for me to want to take it. What just happened at evens in the 10-year makes me want to wait this out. Ace trades got my point, erased my losses. All interesting. Well, they traded a lot there into evens and it's still offer. That's curious. There is some sellers coming in there in the E-mini. My 10-year cumulative delta is jacked up again. It's this right here. 29.3. Okay. We've had big rushes of volume both ways, really. Anyways, I'm kind of like much more short-term focused when I scalp, Options is a little bit beyond that. But it would all depend on, the price that I'm getting on it. Like, the market might be pricing in a China trade hype pop sort of a thing already. And so it might be too expensive to take that trade for me, and so I might not take it, I think we'll have a very tremendous summit with North Korea, Trump says ahead of his meeting with Kim Jong-un in Hanoi. I've wondered, one thing I've wondered on this is that there seems to be a big connection between the North Korea thing and the trade deal. It kind of sounds to me like it's like China says, if you're too mean to us on the trade deal, then we won't let the North Korea thing happen. That did kind of happen at one point, didn't it? Where it was like the US was starting to get more aggressive with and this was probably the lowest point in the whole China trade talks thing. And then all of a sudden it was like the North Korea deal sounded like it was falling apart. Okay, there's still a lot of selling in the E-mini, but it has not dropped yet. They're at the lower end of their range there, but has not dropped yet despite about 4,000 cumulative deltas worth of selling. And now you're getting a ton of trickle volume into 31.5. But that one's not just going either. Ooh, what the? And those are all, you see those orders are all 9s? So that's a robot selling that shit. What the fuck? Wow. This is weird. Yeah. So those machine guns, that's a program. 100%. Humans can't send that many 9 lots into something like that. Is the E-mini gonna take a new high? Because look, they're at the lows. Can you see this right here? Lows of the day in cumulative delta, and they're at the highs of the day in price. Oh, you've never seen that before, huh? You know, it's a little bit more common in the first half of the year. Although we've got to be a little cautious because I don't think that you see a machine gun that is just like a straight sell. Because I remember the first time that I saw that, I immediately knew what it was because I remember them talking about it at Goldman Sachs. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to like sell it and keep going sort of a thing. In fact, I think that when you see a trade like that, it may be more likely that they're doing a spread of some sort. Because you don't do a trade like that unless you like, I mean, good grief. Like everybody saw that, right? You know. So you put that on, you want everybody to see it. And especially in this kind of an action. Yeah. I don't know if that's like a I want everybody to see it so that they'll sell too, or what the deal is, because I would think that in this kind of action that seeing that sort of a thing would make the market maybe perhaps be likely to try and push it against me. Okay, well, I got 2 there. They might go for more, but that 5 is not. You see that we're offered here, that 5 is not pulling away. There's a lot down there, and there's a lot down there in the 5-year too. And the E-mini is still range bound. Ace again says, if I wasn't a rules-based discipline trader, I would go short. So what is it about that breaks your rules? Is it just that you've already taken too many trades today? Okay, they're hitting into 30.5. Maybe I took it off too early. Maybe. We'll see. Yes, too many trades. I gotcha. Yeah. It sucks, right? This is kind of where I don't like trading the E-mini, is that right now, if I was trading the E-mini, I would probably have a bias of some sort. I would think, hey, they're going to break that high and they're just going to run for tons more. Or I might think, you know what, we're at pretty key resistance levels and I want to take this short. That's the thing that makes the most sense. Yada, 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 right? And so I'd be taking one. And anytime that I think, oh, here they are, they're making that move up there, I would take it. And then what does it do? It's just a meat grinder right here. And you would lose a bunch in the range. And yeah, the E-mini sucks for that. Whereas here in Treasuries, at least I was able to take 3 ticks out of that. Maybe there was a little bit more. I could have taken a 4th tick, at least. Cool. Did get a decent amount of activity on my political analysis video, and somebody did come in and say that they watched it, so thank you guys for watching. And see, now we're getting the same kind of behavior that we saw at the top here at 31. I'm not sure I can take that one long like I took the one up at the top short. I don't know. So far, the behavior has been generally what the context predicted, which is that we'd be relatively range bound and that we would tend, if we did see big moves, that there would be a good chance that they don't last very long, or they're tricks and they flip on their heads. And we've seen that now 2 or 3 times where you're getting a strong move up and then it turns around right then and there. But there's been a lot of volume, relatively speaking. So I still kind of have this feeling in the back of my mind that we're going to move really big, that one of these guys is going to give up and we're going to get a huge move. But then I think back to it and I'm like, yeah, but every time that it's been like a Monday like that and I thought that was happening, it never happened. Is maybe why this time it's going to happen, because I'm convinced that I shouldn't be touching it. They're going to hit in that 30 half again. It would be interesting. So see, one of the things was up here at the top when they were trying to trade into the O half, there was like, an iceberg here on the offer. But this time we're going down to the bottom. You would think that there would be an iceberg at 31, but no. They just sold 10,000 at 31. 10K sell. That's a lot. A 10K on the offer on like the low pivot. That's unusual. That's unusual. There we go. The E-mini did go up there and make a new high briefly, and then it came back. What's your view long term? I feel like next days are going to be range bound until it breaks higher, probably towards previous highs from January. From January? Oh, you mean in treasuries, of course. Yeah, I'm not sure I can see too far ahead from that. The thing is, if we get a trade deal, I think that would be very positive for the economy. And I think that the trade deal is the biggest thing holding the economy back right now. But there is some concern in markets and in treasuries because of Brexit too. So if the E-mini broke out, wouldn't necessarily mean that treasuries are just going to come, plummet down back to, take new lows essentially on the chart. So conversely, if the E-mini does fail down, the treasuries would definitely move up. So I guess maybe that means that there is a slightly increased probability of moving up. But I don't know. That one's hard to predict. The thing is this kind of thing right here. Bring this back. This kind of thing right here. The normal thing, the way that I've traded this since the 2008 crisis, the only thing that I know really is you're going to come down to like key levels here, which was this 2604 area, I would say. Actually, no, it was right here. Okay. 2549. And they'd be like, okay, guys, there's this support at 2353 or 2553. And if we break that, it sure could be ugly and we might have a recession. And then what happens is they go down and they break that, and there's like everybody freaks out and they panic, and it's like it's over. And then the next week they go back up like nothing ever happened. What we're seeing is so much in that pattern. But I got to tell you what, that sell that we had in December was different from any sell that I've ever seen. That thing was crazy, irrational. They really were selling it. Somebody was really getting for the market there. So that makes me a little cautious. In this 2808 area, let's call it 2810. 2820 actually. Let's call it 2820. This 2820 area is super strong resistance. So you mean markets are becoming unstable and unpredictable? Well, I think that they've been unstable and unpredictable for a while. But like when we've seen selling in the past, I think that the best example of this was around the time of the 2016 election, right? There was quite a bit of selling in the equity markets. Part of it was because of the taper, and part of it was maybe people worried about elections. And then Donald Trump becomes president, and like they skyrocket back up like nothing ever happened. Like everybody forgets that. Maybe the traders remember, but if you ask your mom and dad, what about that kind of down move that we had in equities that year? They're not going to remember that. They kind of forgot about it, That was like irrational. That was like something that just kind of happens because like the robots are there and they just kind of sell and slip down, sort of a thing. And that was kind of the first order flow that I had ever seen. And this thing in December was like there would be like a sell sweep that would come out of nowhere and just cut everybody down. Just like crazy, insane seller somebody that was out there in the market that was intent on selling, and nobody was going to stop him. You know, it felt almost manipulated to me. And then you got down into like the Christmas time period, and it just went crazy during a time of the year when there's very, very low liquidity. That was what happened there after Christmas. But you know, that's why I see this last sell was a little different in my view. I don't know if that means that the bull market is over. Actually, I would argue. So here's another thing. It's kind of funny because we say that the markets are unstable and unpredictable. That's true, but they are also becoming more stable in a way as well. So what will happen is you can get these short periods of crazy volatility. Well, that was a strong uptick. I'm just hands off. I don't know what's going to happen. The E-mini is looking a little weaker. It is looking a little weaker. And they're hitting into that evens faster than they did last time. So maybe you could take it and they'll go past the 05. Anyways, you know, when I feel like what we've had this past year would be a recession of some sort. We may actually get negative. I mean, for all we know, we might still see negative GDP this year. But when we look at the stock market, it doesn't really look or feel like that, does it? So what's happening is we have to adjust our definitions of what like a bear market is. I think that since the 2008 crisis, we've seen at least 3 financial bear markets. To me, this is not the same bull market that we had in 2008. Let's see how many sell orders there really are at 05. Well, they are through the resistance in the 5-year. I think that you gotta buy that. Probably should have bought evens, but they went through that 005 way too easily, and the E-mini is getting crushed. Come on. You see this area right here? All of this liquidity here? Now they've finally upticked above it. So that gives us a little bit better of a chance of this being a breakout because they've basically already broken out in the 5-year. Plus, they're not doing anything. I mean, like they upticked and it was pretty healthy, but they're not doing something like crazy, like upticking in 5K or something like that. And the E-mini is going the direction that favors this more downside, I think. They bounced off the VWAP, but if the E-mini goes a little bit lower, I think they could go down to the low of the session potentially. Okay, I'm seeing a level break here now too. So this 005 is not going to pull away. There's probably going to be at least 3,000 here absorbed on the bid if they keep selling it. Yeah. Exactly what I expected to see. It's still kind of a 50-50. And that would need to hit that big old order in the 5-year. Or have another low, get down to the low in the E-mini. That level at 10 has been holding since 2 a.m. Yes. So there's going to be a lot of stops up here, right? That's why they're absorbing it there. Somebody's buying it at 005 with the intention of either pulling or just buying everything that's there at 01 and then getting out at 01.5 and 02. Doesn't mean that they're going to get their trade, but somebody's definitely taking that one. Okay, there it is. So they're stacking. Okay. So they traded up. I didn't actually see stops at 01.5. Nothing traded into 01.5 actually. Curious. Come on. They'll pull a little bit and you'll see a few trickle in and then they'll stack back up to 3. That 5-year looks like it wants to go. Oh, Simple FX. ForexLive.com is doing a March Madness bracket that you can get in on. Oh. Why on earth would any Republican vote not to put up a wall or against border security? Please explain that to me. That's Donald Trump tweeting that. Quoting a Varney Co. I don't know who that is. Oh, I guess there was some numbers here that I missed. I'm sorry. Wholesale inventories 1.1 estimated. Oh, 1.1 versus an estimated 0.3. That's good. Trades negative 0.1 versus an estimated negative 0.3. So worse than expected. Okay. So the E-mini retraced here. Let's see if they've got another sell impulse in them or not. The cumulative delta is still range bound. Well, there's some buying there again. 4,000 is not necessarily, I don't know. When I've seen these in the past, normally what would happen is they'd uptick at 01 and then somebody would hit 01.5. It would only take like one order, really, and you would start seeing stops. That time they ticked up, and they ticked up fairly nonchalantly, I think. So I've seen that in the past too, and when I've seen that in the past, it meant that that the bulls had more room to move. Okay, But now they're trying to sell half. So they're at least defending the line. ES Kappa problem touched R2 too high too early without it. It should be risk on, but now only rebalancing top of the range 0304 ZN ammos in my opinion. Wholesale inventory soar, sales up for third straight month. That baby bird is so shrill. So yesterday, I get the bird out. Because really he needs to be held more. So I get him out and I go to put him on my wife because he likes my wife more. And he flew off my finger all the way across the room back to his cage. Never been able to get him to fly. And then he just up and does it across the whole freaking room. So now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Like, if I need to, like, get his wings clipped or what, because I'm afraid that he's never going to want to sit on us. So maybe we need to clip his wings again to keep him dependent. Well, I think we should let him have a little bit of freedom. I want to make sure that he learns how to fly when he's young. So Jerry's a good flyer. Had other birds, parakeets, that never really learned to fly. And it was troublesome. USD JPY stuck in the mud. When will it break free? Well, there's a healthy offer at 05. E-mini did recover back from that sell pretty well. The May has told Angela Merkel she will not delay Brexit after the German Chancellor raised reports that the Prime Minister is considering asking the EU to extend Article 50 by 2 months. Oh, so it's on. This is going to get interesting. Okay, so that time there was some stops. Since my election as president, the Dow Jones is up 43% and the Nasdaq Composite almost 50%. Great news for your 401k as they continue to grow. We are bringing America back faster than anyone thought possible, says Donald Trump 39 seconds ago. Well, great. Now they're going to sell it. Well, they've traded back and forth at oh 05 enough times. I'm a little skeptical that they're going to make it through. I don't know, that cumulative delta kind of feels like maybe it's turning again. Hmm. Curious, because is ZB going to tick up there at O2 or what? Digital shot is getting out. Ah, look at that. Okay, there's a pretty big iceberg there at oh 05, but they got through it, and there was stops at 01 again. Okay, that time they stacked a 4K on it. I think they should go for it at 01. I think there's somebody there that's super concerned and doesn't want it to go past that, and there's some stops up there. I think that it would be worth it, but um, for the moment, they're just kind of biding their time, and maybe because the E-mini did kind of get back there towards the highs, maybe. There was a lot of absorption there at 005 last time, though. And there's a lot of absorption on the bid in the 5-year, too. It's hard to think why would buyers be luring sellers below 10 before going higher at this time of day. Yeah. Well, not only that, but I'm not getting a feeling that people are having a hard time getting fills at the prices that they want, you know? Tesla seeks confidential treatment for info excluded from 10K. Hmm. Hmm. There's O2. Can go bid and offer. And pretty thick here in the 10 and pretty thick here in the 5. Anyone care to comment on if it would have been possible to perhaps try to get filled long in ZN this morning? I'm just not used to it coming from Forex and only some ES, but I thought I saw a good opportunity to trade even as high as 122.040. See, they've gone bid there a couple of times. Seems balanced here. How many times has it been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that I need to scratch. This guy in chat is wondering if it was possible to get filled long in ZN this morning. quite sure why he's saying that. So you see that right there. The offer pulled a little bit. A bunch of orders started coming in. That might be a lure. There was a 4K iceberg there last time, right? So you got to think, why would it be so weak at 005? You seeing that, Lucas? Right there at 005? That to me, is it possible? Is it possible? Lure. The problem for me taking a trade at this time of day when I am not already in the money, I don't have some profits to rely on in case this trade doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, if you only took one trade a day and you were negative, then I might not be too concerned about it. But you're right. Like here, between 8:15 and 8:30 is when you tend to see reversals. I don't think that that's what's happening right now. Well, actually, we could turn down, couldn't we? We could turn down in the E-mini, but I'd have to say that buying there in the E-mini was really positive. That, look at the cumulative delta and everything. Just a very, very good slow move up like that. And here you get this, you know. So I think that they could potentially go up for this 28.11, 28.12. Let's say. Uzi is still sitting on his hands, right? Yeah, I took it at a 005, but I think I got the wrong spots, you know? So, but there's this just really looks like a lure to me because number one, we've been back and forth on this price a couple of times, right? And then the last time that we ticked down, good deal. The last time that we ticked down, there was when they traded back into it, there was a 4K iceberg there at 005. Then we ticked down again. It's pulled. People were FOMOing into it, and then it didn't go. So that can be the kind of behavior where when somebody doesn't think that they're going to get filled there, they don't put the offer in because they don't want to show a strong offer there to discourage people from moving it down further. But they did tick up. They did go bid there. Yeah. And there it goes down again. See? And look at what's happening here in the 5-year. So they're selling it really strong in the 5-year. So I think what's happening is there's still two sides to this trade, but I think that some of the bigger scalpers are selling 005. Some buyers positioning 182 there. Yeah, totally. I think that somebody really was selling 005 and luring there, but then after that happened, this big iceberg in the 5 year showed up. I don't know if that means that the 5 year is going to go higher. The E-mini has turned around, so that seems like that would be a good spot for them to try and take it long here in the 5 year if they were planning a more extended push down in the ES. But just the fact that I was seeing the guys trade against me like that at that particular price in the 10 years is enough for me to say that the trade's not worth it. If I had been long from evens, where I should have been probably, in fact, maybe even at 31 half, if I could have gotten long there, then maybe I would keep it to see if they break it. But the way that it is going right now, hello, Brosif's Illog 1. How's it going? Martin Armstrong gold's rising because it protects us against government. I don't know. This is just... The thing that's interesting about the 5 year is, generally speaking, the 5 year has less liquidity than the 10 year. And the numbers that you see in the 5 year are generally less than the 10 year. But every once in a while, you will see a huge monster in the 10 year. Like we're seeing here, the 10. Now we saw a 10 in the 10 year as well, but it looks like there's even more there. This could totally go. I'm almost tempted to just buy into 01. Man, it's crazy that the E-mini is pushed down the way that it has, and treasuries have not moved, and that's a huge iceberg in the 5 year. So I feel like I really don't want to buy into 01, especially at 826. That's always been an iffy time for me. That's always an iffy time of day. Like any time that I take a trade around 8:30, I always end up sticking in it and waiting for a move up and never getting it, you know? Ilogwan. Building a position in the Euro USD. Oh, okay. You know, I've been wondering, you're looking at the currencies, because currencies kind of were part of what moved us yesterday, or last week, in treasuries. You know, like this whole thing yesterday, we moved up because of the JPY going up. Then JPY came back down, and now this morning it's been pretty quiet. And there's kind of been wondering, like, are they going to break down through the bottom here or not? And then in the euro, you kind of see a similar sort of a thing. It's kind of like, maybe it's going to go, but it's not yet. I think it's harder to know being in auction in the 5 year at 1 p.m. Oh, is there one at 5? Is there one in the 5 year? You know, I didn't look at that. I feel bad that I did not know. Let's see here. So normally the 5 year is not. Okay, but I do see the auction date is on the 25th. And the 2 and the 5. And then there's ones on... Oh, there's some all week this week with weekly options. Okay, so maybe... Okay, they did take 01. Alright, I guess that trade that I took at 005 could have been a good trade, but really, I really think that the time of day and everything is just bad for me. So I think that 2 positive trades and a break even and 3 ticks profit on a Monday, anytime that I'm positive on a Monday is good. Yeah, that might be why the buyers are buying that size at 182. Yeah. There you go. Well, I don't know if Thomas Hag is listening right now, but he was talking about getting your fill. And I think that here in this spot is kind of an example of what you kind of want to look for at price. Is like, is there something about that price and the way that it's behaving that makes us think that they might stop there? Well, they just sold 27.36 and they put a 5K offer on it. And even when they ticked up, it was kind of really cautious, you know? And we did just kind of have a little bit of a breakout, maybe possibly because of all of this here in the 5-year, right? So that's where you can sit down and you can say, okay, maybe I can take a short at 0.5. And you know that it's going to be like short 0.5, and then there's probably going to be some support at 005 and 0, because 005 was the one that they went back and forth across a ton before, right? And 000 is just the bottom of that, right? So if you're taking a conservative trade and you really took a short there, there's 015 is like the top where you could potentially get filled. And then down here, this is like a spot where you know you can get filled. This one is, if you put an order at 005, you know, if there's a short, it's a highly unlikely that they're going to trade into 005 and only trade a few there and then you never get filled and then move up. That's highly unlikely because of the way that it behaved there at 005 before. So that's how you can look at it. Digital Shot went long at 010 and got killed. Yeah, it's kind of funny the way that happened, because I saw that there. Like, I thought, okay, there's maybe actually a reason for 015 to do that. And then as soon as I started talking, then it traded down at like big time. I was like, wow, like I really, really saw that was much stronger than I expected it to be. 10-point overhead gap in the S&P cash index from Friday. Yeah. I'm wondering if the E-mini is really gonna... I mean, they just ticked into a lower low, right? So... Oh, he is listening. So it's actually realistic doing it like that. Totally. But it's so I think for me, the key is getting the right spot. Right? Like if I had gotten 0, I could have taken it off at 01. And even if I had missed that thing at 015, I could be seeing, okay, something definitely happened there at 015, so I can still take +2, right? But what did I do? I got in at 005, which was an okay price. Okay, so 005 is the one where they trade back and forth a lot. So I know I can get filled there. That one's an okay price. Okay, I could have taken one. But what if I had FOMO'd in? What if I had FOMO'd into a market order at the high of that zipper? And what we're talking about is this thing right here. Do you see that? See that little zipper thing? It looks like a zipper. That's because what's happening is they're only bidding on and offering like a few contracts here. You know, like they're doing 500, and then maybe that tick right there, that may have actually only been 23 contracts or 100 contracts, you know, something like that. And all of the business is actually happening here in the middle, right? So that's a spot that you know you can get filled either way, right? But that's just like, okay, that's like you're getting the average price at that point, essentially, right? So if you bought above the average price and then this came back out, you'd be looking at break even or negative. So that's the way that I think about it. Because if I'm trading like 50-50, you know, then that those two ticks, because you're talking about two ticks there, right? Those two ticks are the difference between, you know, your winners being 3 to 6 ticks and your losers being, you know, 2 to 4 ticks. That's how you can keep it low. If you don't get the spot, then your losers are going to end up being, you know, 3 to 6 ticks, and your winners are only going to end up being like 2. Because if you screw it up on both sides, that's like 4 ticks, right? So that's why I look for the price. And you can tell. But that's the first thing that, if I was new, that's the first thing I would tell people to look for is these zippers right here. Try and see the zipper before it happens. Try and see when we come up to a price, and then you can see like it ticks up, but there's not, you know, there's not a strong bid, and it goes back and forth. Once at that point, you can say, hey, I think that there might be a zipper here. And then, you know, if you get a really long one like this, then you know that you're doing it right. Theoretically, I'm long since 122.005 on average, but have scalped out a ton all paper trades, so I'm not trusting it quite and wondering what I'm doing wrong. What is that window you're looking at? Which window do you mean? So, by the way, what software are you using? By the way, while I'm waiting for that, I should run my script here to post the cryptocurrency stuff. Oh, this one. Okay, so you mean that this? So I use NinjaTrader 8 and Jigsaw Day Trader, right? Oh, you're using Thinkorswim. Okay. So this is a one range chart. I think that they have that in Thinkorswim. So basically, if price moves by a tick, it prints a new bar for me. Yes, yeah, the one with the yellow marking. That's a one range chart. And I think I'm like the only person I know that actually uses a one range chart. But the reason that I use a one range chart is because then I can see literally every price change. If price ticked up or down and orders traded there at it, I'll get a bar and I can see. Right? So this is, you know, when you see it on a regular chart, like a 5-minute chart, you might just see, you know, a candle like, you know, like if I can minimize these for a second, you would just get something like this. And maybe you would get one like that, and maybe one like that. You know, that's what you would probably see on a one range, on like a 5-minute chart. You know, just being flat for a long time. But on the one range chart, you get those kind of those zipper things. Right, I was trading those for a while, but it felt unreal. Well, in the 10-year. It works. You can do it in the 10-year. You do it with any other instrument, it's probably going to be a mess, right? But I have to say, and this is where, because what platform you're using is important, because you said you were using Thinkorswim. So I don't know if they have the best DOM or not, but hold on a second. I can like rearrange my chart back over here. Got to put it back in the right spot. I see it in the DOM, right? I'm not seeing it right now. Look at these prices. Here's the inside offer. Here's the inside bid. And what are we seeing? I'm focusing on learning the ladder now. Totally did it in ES, I think, or maybe 60, and it was all or nothing in terms of chart volatility. Ooh, yeah, right? So what I'm seeing right now is it's 45.81 by 31.63, okay? So anything more than 3K in the 10-year, at least right now, and this changes from season to season and everything, but right now, 3K is healthy, right? 2K is like they can hold that, okay? Anything below 2K, though, is kind of questionable. Like 2K and definitely below 1,500 and 1,000, that's very likely to tick through that price. Okay. Or here in the 10-year, the 30-year, right? There's only 139. They have a good chance of trading down through that price. Been learning for years, but sporadically and not with great results until the last 6 months, especially when I got very focused. Okay. It takes most people a couple of years. I've been doing this for about 3 years, and I'm only just now to a spot where I feel like I can kind of be like profitable over a year time frame, but I still have like really bad times. So anyways, so the thing here in the 10-year, right? It was like at 150, right? But then 671 have traded into it, and it still didn't go. Right? So when you see a price looks weak, there's always a chance of there being an iceberg there at that point, because that's often how they do it, is they want that price to look weak so that everybody will hit into the iceberg. Okay? And you'll get a feeling for where they should be and where they shouldn't be. And you just think of it as like, if I was a big trader and I was trading at that price, why would or would I not do something there? You know? If I wanted to buy the 30-year right now, why would I buy 04? You notice only 3 people have bought 04 so far, right? Well, why is that? Because 03 was weak, and if I wanted to buy, there's a really good chance that I'm going to get filled long right here. So I might as well get filled long right here. You know? Eventually what will happen, though, if we are to tick up, and I don't know what we're going to do next. It looks pretty random to me right now, but what we might see happen is we might see a flip here. So this might become 600 and this might become 150. Well, then at that point, if you still want to buy, you're not going to get filled at 03. So now you have to FOMO into 04. And this is the people that I'm saying aren't getting the optimal price anymore, right? You only take the unoptimal price if there is a very high probability that it's going to go through. Like you see something that you know has like an 80% chance of going for at least a tick, that's when you take that one. Or that's when I take that one. I've struggled for a long time. I'm really proud over how I progressed lately, most properly consolidating the mess of information I already had gathered but not understood properly. There you go. Yeah, Lucas has been here for three or 4 months. Anyways, that's kind of how you can judge it. Now, so here was the thing I was going to say, Thomas. The way that the simulator works in the Thinkorswim, is my understanding is that if you like put an order in and they had an order at that price that filled, like in real life, then they assume that you would have gotten filled too. So you got to be a little careful because the simulator might not be accurate. A lot of the broker simulators are like totally lie. Like they'll put you up here, you'll put an offer in somewhere, like at 04, and you say you're 5,000 in line. And then maybe it comes up and ticks around there, but nothing ever actually traded there. But during that time, it's stacking and pulling. And what those simulators assume is that they think, okay, anytime that an order pulls, your position in line moves up, which is not true, because it's probably just the same 50 lots taking on and off behind you, right? So what Jigsaw does instead is it has a percentage. Like every time that it pulls, they assume that a certain percentage of it is behind you. But because I can see the numbers and everything like that, you know for sure that you would have gotten filled. And usually when I get filled, they clear that price. So that's the way that I would look at it. It's like if this goes bid, if this price goes bid, then you would have gotten filled, right? If you're selling and this price goes bid, then you know for sure that you would have gotten filled, right? That's the way that I would do it. If they kind of trade 2,000 into it, if they were to tick down now from here, it's a little uncertain, because it depends on what spot you were in line. But you can know if when you got in line you were 2,000, and then they traded 2,000, then you know you would have gotten filled. But if you got in line and it was 4,000, and then they trade 2,000 and it says that you're 2,000 in line and you got filled, that's a spot where the simulator might be wrong. So yeah. In one way, no matter what, the price is always going to come back and hit you. It might be a few days. Don't say things like that, Ace. No, the right response to that is maybe for E-mini traders. Gosh, Ace. I get it. When I was over on the Forex Factory forums, it was impossible to explain to people. I did manage to get one guy to run with it, and last he checked in with me, he was doing well. Lucas says I manually exit my trades, but a safe stop in case connection is lost. Yes. You always want to have a protective stop, for sure. What was Uzi responding to before that? Oh wait, we're just talking about the stops. It's not as terrifying as it sounds if you're not a lunatic in lot sizing. I got you. Yeah, so in Treasuries, the thing about Treasuries is that honestly, the average range, so like on average, we'll move 4 ticks in 30 minutes. Like that's the range of a 30-minute time period in ZN, right? So if you take a trade and you get more than 4 ticks out of it, you are getting a move that is beyond the average move. Or in other words, you made a real trade. You're not just picking up noise. You caught a trend to get more than 4. You have to have some sort of trend to get more than 4 in ZN, right? But because of that, like let's just say that you were able to take it in the middle of a 4 tick range, okay? Then it's 2 ticks to the outside edge. So you can say in ZN, okay, I only want to take 2 to 3 ticks stop loss, and 4 is like where I put my your stupid stop or the emergency stop, because it shouldn't move more than the average range against me. Yeah. If I take a -4, then I made a mistake, generally speaking. Usually the mistake, though, is just that I should have gotten out at -2. You can do that in the 10-year, and you can see that if it moves more than 2 ticks, like if it ticked into 0.2 you would see a change. Like the level 2 was changed, and you would see a bunch of volume there, and there would be some acknowledgement that it was significant that they broke that range, right? So you can put your stop there. In Forex, though, I mean, man, I don't know. That thing can go almost anywhere at any time. Or like the E-mini is another really good example. It can just like totally turn on you, and And especially in Forex, I think that there can even be a bit of, well, I don't know about Forex so much. Let's say Bitcoin. Okay, if you're day trading in Bitcoin and you put a stop out there like that, you're gonna get hit. They can see them, and the exchanges totally fuck with that stuff. Swisso says boring. So did you actually take any there, Swisso? Because it didn't. I thought that you had an okay theory there, but it didn't really ever go. And really speaking, if even if we had just taken it from 31 and held it the whole time, we're still only talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ticks, which is the average range. Yep. Super boring day today. But it's okay. We had some new people come in today and we had some good conversation. And I'm profitable, even though it's only 3 ticks. Swisso didn't take any trades today. Okay, see, this is why Swisso is probably a better trader than me, even though I've never seen his stats, because he knows when to stay put when it's not going to move. My no stop strategy in FX wasn't a day trading strategy. That was the thing. Retail guys want to take 100K lots in FX because they dream of Lambos. Yeah. The thing in Forex is that you can, if you swing it, you can get like monster winners. And then you try and scalp it and you're just picking up noise. I don't know. The thing that irks me about Forex, but accumulating 1K lots over a period of time with a positive rollover without a stop isn't as terrifying as it may sound. I gotcha. I mean, aside from the things that I say in my Forex don't trade Forex video, because your broker's trading against you. But the other thing that bothers me is just the chart patterns that you tend to see in Forex make no sense to me. I mean, sometimes I'll see stuff, but it just does not move the same way. You will not get any fills today. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I that fill that I got at 31, pretty sure that one would have worked, and that was a good fill. But really, I think that I'm lucky that I only took 3 trades. Yeah, I heard that ZN was good for traditional patterns. Totally, because when the ZN, there's so much. Here's the thing. If there's only 100 people in a market, okay, and there's a reason for us to go long, like it has to go long because like of a fundamental reason, and everybody knows it. Okay, all 100 of those people are going to buy. And so then we're all long, and then what? It can't move up to the price that it needs to because there's nobody left to buy. So at that point, somebody has to sell, and it'll come back, right? Well, that's what happens in the 10-year. That's why the 10-year tends to move the way that it is, because there is a lot of people, number one, and number two, when you get a trend, it is very, very clear to everybody which way it's going to go. And so you get this. It moves up and you get a good clean pullback of about 4 ticks, and then it moves up and you get a good clean pullback. Really good stuff, versus the E-mini where it's like we're going to go up and down and stop everybody out, and then maybe we'll go higher, So yeah, it's not just that it's good traditional action, but it's very clean and predictable. I can put a 2-tick stop in there and know, okay, yeah, I was wrong on where things are going right now. I don't know what's going on. I should stay out, etc., etc. For that, you need an algo that brings you to the queue to the front. The ES to me moves in a very weird way. I can really feel the algos. Yeah. Well, the algos are there in the 10-year too, right? It's just that they're mostly fiddling around with the level 2. Yeah, that's because 80% of the volume is being traded by 10 big firms. So this is the same guys doing the same thing over and over again. Totally. Yep. And that's also why, if it's going to move up, sometimes they're really, really tricky about it because they know that it needs to go up, but they don't have any contracts along yet, Then they have to sit there and fill with it and do tricks until they get filled. Unless it's a trend day, and then it's a trend day is like even the retail traders know that it's going to move up, and the big guys can't buy it fast enough, and the locals are moving it against them, and those are the best days. But anyways, it is now 8:53, so it is time for me to go. Good conversation, but still pretty slow, and I'm wondering tomorrow might be kind of similar, so we'll see. But given that it's rollover week, you're gonna have difficult trading, so keep that in mind. Next week, though, I think should be pretty good. And thank you for you guys coming by. And as always, like and subscribe. That liking the video really helps. And I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.